Here we're streaming live through the audio with Attention Live on Alexa, our skill, as well as our YouTube channel as well. And here we are, Bradley. We made it. We made it to Thursday morning, and we're here for an interview. I'm going to be able to talk with you publicly. We've done a lot of this before. A little bit different.
We have, and it's a good opportunity since we had some clearance in the schedule to sit down and we've seen this dude on a hoverboard. We've seen this dude with the rocking the rims and this California type of guy. We don't know. We need more. We need more information than that. And here we're about to get it. So I think it's just a great opportunity on Thursday to sit down with Ian Utile and who is this dude? What path has he taken? And what's he about to unleash? And so that's what we're going to find out.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited that you and I can have this conversation. I've really enjoyed developing a friendship with you the last couple of years, and I have so appreciated the way that you've invited me into this community and empowered me to be myself and just do my thing. I really honor that, and so I think today will be fun to have a conversation.
Yes, it will. Yeah, and likewise.
And I want to just publicly challenge you to ask me tough questions.
I'll do it. You didn't have to do that.
You are, no, but I want to really push it over the top. I want you to get creative. Right. Like, okay, he won't answer this one.
All right, I'll dig in. I'll dig in as we go. I'll find those opportunities. So, start off. Just tell us who you are. Let's imagine. I don't want what you tell somebody at a conference.
Sure.
No. What I want is when you're sitting down at the Thanksgiving table with those relatives you haven't seen for a while, maybe a year, maybe two, and they say, Ian, what are you doing? What have you been doing? That no BS,
right.
No filter.
No, that's good.
I want that answer. Yeah. So let's hear it. Who are you?
Well, I'm a product of my father, Gary Utile, the legendary surfer, and my mom, Kim. Both are entrepreneurs, and so my whole way of operating is entrepreneurial. Never had a job, neither have they. So that gives a little context for a family conversation. The truth is, most of my friends, even my strategic business partners, wonder constantly, so what exactly are you doing? Because there's confusion around my activity. A lot of people are like, wait, are you an event guy? And the truth is, I'm not an event guy. I support event guys like yourself, Bradley, and others. I need these events to thrive and be like real powerful communities so that our product both can work with that community and also that we can have the type of feedback that we're able to receive from these folks. But if I was to sit down at a table and just kind of say, hey, what am I doing? I've had a big need in my business and personal life for easier communication. And because of that need, I've tried so many ways of patching together hardwares and softwares and teams. And I just found that nothing really fulfilled it. And so I brought my team together, many of the folks that have worked with me to build previous companies, and we built a new product. And it just lets me communicate like this, right? Through one product, I can just communicate to all these different places. And so that's what's in place. And so since that's in place, I would probably talk about the product, right, with them, and I'd show them. So usually what I'll do is I'll do that. But I'm just a simple guy that lives in the Bay Area. I'm like a Santa Cruz guy, laid back, easygoing, don't have a lot of expectations. I'm insanely unbridled with my ambition. Like, my drive is overwhelming, and because I'm charismatic and I'm a good communicator, usually those two things combined can create a lot of energy.
You lived in California your whole life?
Yeah. Our family has lived in California now. My kids are 21st generation Californians, all the way back to the 1400s. So that
We
was,
forgive you.
what was that?
We forgive you.
Yeah. Well, I love California. I love what
I'm
California
getting
has
agree.
been. And California is going through a little bit of a challenging time, especially from my perspective. I'm more libertarian, so I don't like the overreach of the government in California, the overtaxing and things of that nature. But things changed from a more things changed to get to this point, and I don't like the way things are as much as I have looked in the past. And things can change again in the future. But yeah, so we've lived in California a long time, just in the Bay Area. We've been here 10 generations. My ancestor founded San Jose. So, like, very much local, but I'm in like this little beach town called Aptos inside Santa Cruz. We're like an hour and a half south of San Francisco. The weather's beautiful here. It's like 63 to 78 and sunny most days, which I'm very, very aware that it's not everybody's experience, and I'm grateful for that we get to have that. And but yeah, I'm an easygoing, very intense person.
So tell us something about your upbringing that we don't know.
My upbringing that people don't know.
I'll wait.
Yeah. I mean, what would be interesting for people to know that maybe I wouldn't normally share? Um, an interesting thing about my upbringing is I worked really hard, really young. So I started going and working in a construction capacity at like probably 12 or 13 as like a laborer. And before that, I would like pull the weeds, wash my parents' cars, vacuum our house, do dishes. Right.
Is what you're talking about.
Yep.
Because those things are the barriers that keep everybody from doing this stuff. Everybody's not a content creator. Why is everybody not a content creator? It's not because they can't get on in front of YouTube and say something interesting. It's because they don't have a clue on how to get to that point, and they don't know what to do after they're done with that point, and they don't know how even the parameters to evaluate how to distribute the content. And I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of folks.
Right.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that, and voice does provide a really unique opportunity to amplify that effort.
Yeah.
And to be a force multiplier. And I like what you're doing. I think it's great. I love the name of what you're doing. Why don't we talk about that a second? Where did the name for Attention Live, attn.live, come from?
Well, I think that there's three types of ways to function in the future. It's teaching, learning, and promoting. And so a lot of people are going to make a living by promoting. And so one of the thoughts that I had around our product of live podcasting is what's really happening here. Content creators are creating content to get the attention of consumers. Consumers are giving the creators their attention and allowing those creators to influence them. And so that's, to me, what live podcasting ultimately is about, is attention, right? It's getting the world's attention and influencing the world to believe what you believe, to like the product or services that you are promoting, whatever the thing is that you're doing. And so that's how we came with that name. We just thought, what are we really trying to accomplish here? We're trying to make getting attention and giving your attention a lot easier than it is today.
Why don't we talk about that a little bit, drill down on that as well. I'm fascinated by people like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm inspired by him, but also I'm intimidated by him a little bit because he is fearless when it comes to diving in and adopting new media platforms. He's all about Instagram. I don't like Instagram. I don't want to use Instagram. He's all about Instagram. He's all about TikTok. I don't want to know what TikTok is. and I especially do not want to use it. So maybe let's talk for a second about how, when we talk about the democratization of content creation, it's an important thing to note that we're just as much talking about the people that can't as opposed to the people that won't. And I think it's really interesting, the concept of using something like Attention Live to help a curmudgeon-like person like me gain access to new sorts of technology. There's plenty of people who have a curmudgeon-like attitude toward Alexa. And Attention Live can certainly open that door. Same thing for YouTube. Share with me your thoughts on, people who are maybe a little bit reluctant to embrace new media and how Attention Live can help them see the light. People like me.
Well, I think it's a fair response that you have. I also think that people on TikTok probably don't want everybody on there. And I think there's something lost with communities having their own identity and people feeling like they have to be everywhere. And they don't. And so with Attention Live, I think what we want to do is we want to say, as a creator, you probably create somewhere. Maybe on Twitter, maybe on YouTube, maybe wherever it may be. You probably create somewhere. As a consumer, you probably consume on one platform more than others. And so can we, Attention Live, just make it easier for creators to get their content on every platform so that every consumer gets easy access? And that's really what we're trying to do for the consumers, just make it super simple to get access, right? Like Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan, he does a $100 million contract with Spotify for Spotify to have exclusive rights. I understand why Spotify did it, why Joe did it. Seems like a smart move for that individual decision. But that's the exact opposite of what Attention Live is trying to create. Right? We're trying to create an environment so that what Joe Rogan could have done with us, if I would have had a chance to sit down with Joe first, I could have explained to Joe, like, hey, you can go live with nobody telling you what to do. No, you don't have to do any sort of big contract. You can go live, Joe, on Amazon Alexa, on Google Assistant, on Samsung Bixby, Microsoft Cortana, every single social platform, and then you can send the archive out to the podcast platforms, and you can be in control, and you can communicate directly with people and not have anybody like a Spotify in the middle. Now, again, I like their deal. It's good for our industry. It's good for them. I'm just saying that that's a specific case use that's for them. But we at Attention Live believe that the ideal thing is interoperability, right? We want content to work on any operating system, any hardware device. We want the creator to be able to create from any space and the consumer to be able to listen from any space. And so in a sense, we're trying to create the opposite of what like Spotify and Joe put together, which is exclusive access, right? You can only access Joe's content starting 2021 on Spotify. Not bad, certainly not bad for them, but just different than our specific approach, which is create from anywhere, consume from anywhere.
Well, it's interesting that you would bring that up. And I like the idea that you said at first about, basically that the message and the medium are connected. The message
Right.
is nothing without the medium,
No.
and vice versa. You take Let It Be and you try to make that into a vine and you get something idiotic.
Right. Right. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And it doesn't mean it won't get a lot of views. Right. It just means it's idiotic.
Right.
So, Let It Be has a particular medium that it's married to, and that's, the form of a 3-minute song.
Right.
So, rather than a 6-second video. And then you're touching on the ideal of openness versus sort of the arc of the world, which is often closed.
Right.
And I think the Joe Rogan deal is really interesting. I think that, maybe this is an opportunity to ask you a question about voice. I think that it's definitely good for voice. Why is it good for voice? Because anything that's good for content is good for voice. So anything that accelerates the economies to scale of content creators and providers, anything that encourages more content creation, ultimately all of that's good for voice.
Right.
But my question for you, I feel like we've been spoiled with voice in the specific aspect of we have prospered from an ecosystem where the 1,000-pound gorillas are not spending 100% of their time beating each other up.
Right.
They're not throwing bananas at each other. They've been helping each other find new bananas.
That's right.
And applauding when one finds a new banana. So I feel like that's destined to change. And if you look at any number of other industries and technologies that have emerged, it definitely has become zero sum. It definitely has become very competitive. Maybe share with me your thoughts on voice and how, if you think it's going to stay this sort of Zen environment where you see things like Amazon and Google and Samsung all presenting at the same conference, which will remain nameless, along with Microsoft, or if you see it shifting toward, like I do, becoming a more competitive landscape, which would in turn cause more things like the Rogan deal to take place. Because if it's a competitive landscape, I'm grabbing resources and they're not yours, they're mine. And so walk me through your point of view on all of that.
Well, it's complicated. Giving my point of view on that is about as valuable as giving my point of view on politics. It's complicated, right? Because the way that things have been done in business and in the competitive nature of a global economy and people all building similar technologies, both software and hardware, and competing against each other in this form, collaborating, we don't know how organizations are going to do these things moving forward. It's very different with voice tech because if these organizations do work together, there is a stronger element that a rising tide raises all ships with conversational AI than there is with making cars or making homes or building boats. Like, it's very different. It's very, very different. And then we've come to a place where there's so much conversation around decentralizing certain aspects of businesses and communities, with interoperability, things being able to work on any piece of hardware, any piece of software, or in the sake of the distributed ledger world, move from chain to chain. Like, there's so much about collaboration and about us all moving things forward together. I think the question is this. Everybody's familiar with Mario Brothers. And Mario, he's a little Mario, and he hits the little thing, and the mushroom pops out, and mushroom hits him. And he becomes Big Mario. Okay. Is humanity going to come out of the pandemic and combined with all of